Hello, welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. I first want to say thank you for all the love and support on the last video where I kind of just talked about my beginning of my Warhammer journey, buying the starter set, building my first thing. I haven't made progress since. It's sitting there like that. But thank you for all the comments, the tips. I was kind of surprised how welcoming, I guess, people kind of have been with this and talking about it, because I don't really know a lot. So if I talk as if I do, I don't. And I know I don't know. There's so much. Even just from watching videos, there's so much. It's awesome. It's so much fun. The world is so grim and dark and horrible. And the fact of everything is kind of a villain is, it's just very interesting and fun. But honestly, just thank you so much for all the love and support with the comments, all the tips, all the advice. It's been very, very welcoming again, and just hearing what people think. And the common thing I saw before making the video was just reiterated a lot in the comment section of just whatever you think looks really cool. And if it kind of sounds like something you'd like if you play with it, if you play with that faction, then go for it, because it's going to be a lot of fun. I think I'm going to do that, believe it or not. I know, looking more into it, me thinking I want to be, more melee, heavy, melee based, the kind of darker tone, Space Marines. I saw, I think, a couple comments maybe talking about this, but that would be the World Eaters. Didn't know they were a thing, looked into them more, looks badass. And all I really have to say is, I didn't know this beforehand, I heard this, but it's so much more fun now that I know where this came from. But blood for the blood god. But with all that being said, I want to actually talk about Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, because this kind of is what started my, real deep dive into learning about it and wanting to learn more and play it and do all this kind of stuff. Just kind of take in as much media from this as I could, started with this game. Obviously, this game had a lot of hype behind it, and I was super excited even though I didn't really know anything. All the reviews you hear is pretty spot on. Universally, it seems like. Does it feel like an Xbox 360 game? Yes, in every good way. I'm going to split this up, kind of be story, the operations, and the PvP. I'm not going to go super in depth with, each thing, just kind of talk about bits. Minor spoilers. The story isn't very long. I'm not going to go fully in depth in it, just kind of, talk about little bits of it. And I don't think I'm going to spoil the end, anything like that. But I had a lot of fun. I was on vacation most of September, so I didn't really get to play Warhammer when everyone else did, Space Marine 2. So I kind of had to sit there and watch it. And then as I played and played the operations, the PvP, everything like that, it really is it's a lot of fun. It almost feels, in a way, kind of like how Helldivers 2 at the beginning of this year just kind of felt like this refreshment type of thing almost. It has similar feelings to me as that did. So first, talking about the story. There is 6 missions long. It is not very long. I would say each mission is about 45 minutes to an hour, depending. If you search, look around, collect the little collectibles throughout it, stuff like that. I would say it's in that range. I think the last mission or operation, campaign mission, is the longest. It's probably an hour and a half, I would say. I think. But the story is pretty straightforward. At the beginning, it is, a little tie-ins to the first game. It can be a little confusing for new people of who's who and what is going on kind of stuff, just because it builds the world more with the environment, I would say. And it is interesting because after playing this and looking more into it, knowing how many different factions there is, it was interesting to kind of be oh, these Space Marines are just one group of them, and the Tyranids are just one kind of other faction. So learning through that was fun after the fact. Learning what the chaos was and stuff, because in the game, I'll say it doesn't really explain it that much. It probably does in more ways if you look more into it. I was just having fun chainsawing stuff up, if I'm being honest. And the last level, you get a hammer. It's great. That's the only spoiler I'll give for the last mission. But in the campaign, it's really refreshing how it feels almost like a very more tight-knit kind of story in a way, where it's not a 20-hour plus long thing drawn out, and you end up going on certain side little quests to go get a MacGuffin or some random stuff that a lot of other games will put in to kind of stretch out the game. This was right to the point. You do what you have to do, and it feels like almost military based. Like you go, you do this, you F shit up, you move on to the next thing, you F shit up. It's great. You feel like a super soldier. The abilities that you gradually, get is interesting. I know there's been complaints about the gameplay in this just because, yes, it feels like a 360 game. It's very basic, but it does ramp up in new abilities and stuff as the game goes on. So it does, and you can also try different stuff as you're going about it, stuff like that. The game isn't overly hard, I would say. I think I might have honestly been down twice in the whole game. And at first when it happened, I thought I was like dead. Nope, your AI guy can go pick you up. Or the campaign fully co-op, which is very refreshing because it feels like so many games nowadays aren't co-op at all. And like, there's so many times where I've had fun with like friends playing through. I remember playing through The Forest, which was a great time. Playing through Borderlands 2 for the first time. Stuff like that. It is refreshing in the fact of like, they're trying to get back to like old school gaming in a type of way. But overall, the story's quick. It's tight. It doesn't really explain a lot, and I'd say it kind of like happens quickly in a way. There's times where you almost wish that there was more to it, but honestly, not that many complaints. The story mode, the campaign is pretty good, and the campaign I would say is only like literally a chunk of the game. Operations is probably the biggest part of the game, and it's the PvE mode. Again, this is also co-op. You can matchmake, you can play with AI. This is where you can kind of build your Space Marine in your own way. You can customize them. You can join different factions for the customization, essentially, and you have a lot more gear. You have a lot more perks. You can upgrade your weapons. Some of it is tedious, for sure. It is a grind. There is 7, I think, now, operations, or there were 6 with a secret 7th one. I don't know. When I looked, there were 7, so if it's a secret, I did something right, apparently. But these missions are essentially just little smaller. Well, I wouldn't even say they're smaller. They're just kind of side missions that happen during the campaign. And I think Warhammer probably does this, or Space Marine 2 probably does this the best of any other game that tries to do like a side PvE mode that ties in with the story, where Titus, the main character, will talk to the captain. He'll ask for a second squad. You hear about it, you hear their mission and stuff. And as you're going about the campaign mission, something will happen that this side kind of group does during your campaign mission. Obviously, it's not like real time or anything. The operations are just you doing that part of the mission. So it's tying in all of this side kind of PvE content, which is replayable and leads to the customization, stuff like that. Integrates it very well to the actual campaign, which was very refreshing when I, did that. Because as I was playing the campaign the first time, you're hearing about these other missions that these people are going on. You're kind of like, that kind of sucks because it sounds fucking badass, and there's only 6 campaign missions. And then, you go to operations and you realize all these side missions that Titus was talking about, telling people to do, stuff like that, you end up getting to do it with your own Space Marine. So it is really cool in that aspect. I enjoyed that part. I think it does that really well, rather than just saying, some random bullshit's going on. It actually ties it into the game and the story. And the last thing that I'm going to talk the least about is PvP, which almost feels like it's very small. It's very not fully baked. It's just there in case people want to play some PvP with the kind of gameplay systems that's in the game. There's, I think, 3 maps and 3 game modes kind of thing. It's very not a lot of content. They're going to be adding stuff. They've already announced that. But it feels like it was there because it was like, let's not put a bunch of resources and stuff into this to make it some fucking live service BS. Let's just have it there as an option. People can play it to grind certain characters because it goes with your operations character stuff as well, the grind, and go from there. Just have it there for people to play. It's fun for what it is. Is it the next esport? Absolutely not. but it doesn't try to be. So like you can't. It's hard to get upset that the PvP isn't this giant flushed out thing when you don't need it to be. You know, if that makes sense. But overall, I really, really enjoyed Space Marine 2 way more than I expected. I knew I'd feel like a badass and stuff, but you really do. And there's a lot of great set pieces. The graphics also, didn't talk about that. It looks just fabulous. The backdrops, the art direction of this game was amazing. Really, it was crazy. And there's so many different like biomes or kind of areas that you get to see, which is also interesting. It's not the same recycled thing over and over again. But overall, Warhammer Space Marine 2 got me into Warhammer. I'm still consuming it as much as I can. It's awesome. I thank you for all the tips too. I saw some stuff about audiobooks, stuff like that for like learning more about the lore and whatnot. But I personally really enjoyed Space Marine 2. I'm sorry this kind of review kind of thing is like a month plus late. I don't really care. I don't really make reviews, but this game was it was really awesome. It's getting me into a full new kind of thing that I never thought I would before. So overall, I loved it. If you haven't played Space Marine 2, I definitely think you should check it out. It feels like badass. This is the kind of sales pitch I've given my friend who hasn't gotten it yet, who I want to get into it just because he doesn't know anything about Warhammer either. So, but that will do it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, consider leaving a like. Helps channel out a bunch. Consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.